I'd be really, if you do that undergraduate, we must find this out. Because of course, legal speech takes up space, memory space, and besides which you might confuse it for something else. So if you can specialize, as it were, the Discworld vocabulary from the working, the everyday vocabulary, that can make things a bit quicker.
However hot the machine, once the dragon vocabulary gets so big, it does slow down. So doctors will have a file for sometimes even a specific time of the day. If their voice changes through the day,
I think I might do that, because you speak more slowly in the evening because you're tired. So you have the slowly voice. And also you have to treat it like a harp. You have to speak with certain cadences so that it doesn't get confused. You learn how to do that very easily. They don't tell you about it, but you learn how to do it. Because it will run words together. If it's possible to run two words together to make another word, and you say them too fast, it will make one word out of the two. And little tricks like that. But nevertheless, I live with it because I can nevertheless get the stuff down quite fast. And we're going to have to do a lot of work on this, except we haven't got the time because we're going to get the new machine up and running and get the talking point guys out to see why something's gone wrong with the talking point. So the whole thing is, most of the life is spent basically running the whole shebang before you actually do a single word that's going to earn you a shekel.
So if I jump forward, okay, so by magic, the first draft has happened and there it is on the screen. One thing that always amazed me, not amazed me, it just impressed me beyond me. Well, I was thinking about seeing academicals with the, so we got to the end of the first draft, and so I've seen academicals are being written, unfortunately, with the veil of Alzheimer's disease hanging all over it and everything, and it was a busy time. And so it is a bloke who we now know has got a rare form of Alzheimer's. But we've got to the end of the first draft, and it's gone on to the editors to have a tweak and have a look at. And Philip Dickinson, who edits Terry in the UK, said, actually guys, I've done a timeline, and what you put into one day, really, we need that splitting into 2 days, which is great. That's exactly what we want to be told. Fantastic. So the next day, we sit down, we've got our notes, and we are going to break it and put it back together again. And it's not just a case of saying, and everybody went to bed, and suddenly you're moving something here, and you're moving something down the way. Now,
bear in mind, it's such a complex plot. There's comic tales, everything trails something behind it. So you may change this little detail, and that means someone on the wicket size is going to fall off.
Now, if I lied to you, I would say that what we do, we get a lady in from the village with a whiteboard, and she plots it all out for us, and we know exactly where it's going. In truth, the next morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, we sat down, and we were going to work until we dropped to get this done. And bear in mind, it's 135,000 words. Terry's got PCA, and off we go. Right, here we go, we make a start. And I've only ever had 2 migraines in my life. But at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Terry said to me, you are looking a very strange colour. You actually look like a greeny, grey, zombie type colour. And from about 3 o'clock onwards, I could feel my face going numb, I knew things weren't going right, because I was scrolling 135,000 words back and forth through my brain, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I did another hour before I knew that I couldn't do any more, so I was going to keel over. And yet Terry was still absolutely, 6 o'clock at night, and Terry's still absolutely ready to go. And that's the bizarre thing with your variant, isn't it?
Well, it's because it's the narrative. You can actually keep track. I mean, once you've got in the writing, you can, it becomes a physical thing that you can kind of handle. And the one thing that you've been doing snuff, for example. I mean, snuff is it's kind of like the first book of the New Age, as far as I'm concerned. I hammered my way through the first draft, but periodically when we had some time, I would get Rob to read it. Because there were two reasons for this. One, I'd like to see how someone else thinks it's going. And also, because if I correct everything in Talking Point, the way Talking Point works, if you get something wrong, you can teach it to get it right. And that means it won't get that thing wrong again, if you're lucky. And I quite like doing that. But often if it gets things wrong, it will find, put it like this, it doesn't understand the word you said, but it has a go. Colin, is Colin here? What was the word you really liked?
It should have been a settling.
Oh yes. Right. And it didn't understand acetylene. So it made up acetylene. And you could, if you said aloud the word it put, it read as acetylene.
Oh yes, it read perfectly. But when you looked at it, there's no way it was going to make sense. I can't remember the four words it put in. Colin could probably.
Acetylene.
Oh, what's it?
Acetylene.
Acetylene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
try. So, I mean, if you're prepared to put a lot of work in with back dictation and Talking Point, you can get it. If I was writing normal letters, I could be spinning them off without really having to bother to look, because it would be getting it right most nearly all the time. But when it gets wrong, it gets wrong. It normally gets them wrong in a way where you can sometimes it simply blows its nose at you, but but mostly you can kind of recover. And usually it's worth leaving it to Rob to go through later on, just to get those bits right, so we can push on with the manuscript. And with Snuff, again we were being interrupted by all kinds of stuff. We spent an awful lot of time going over that one again and again, because it pays really to get it right. And we went over it more times than we normally do, I think. That's a great deal of fun. If I had more money, but if I had more space, I would have 2 PAs, and one of them would work in the early mornings and the evenings when Rob was in, and I would just sit there dictating, because dictating a book to somebody alive, you get almost positive feedback all the time, because you're telling the story. And we both found that when I was dictating stuff, it was coming out fast. Of course, he was battering his heart out, typing away like no one's business. But it moved fast, because I could see it fast and describe it fast. And it seemed to me that this is exactly what storytelling was, and that's why I rather like talking to. If only Talking Point could have a little bit which occasionally said, nice bit, that's good. I don't understand what you're getting at here.
Tell you what to say. You didn't laugh much at that one. Let's have another go over it, and then it's a real belly laugh.
And because we did, I think, because we had some time, because of the whatever it was, but we found we had some time. We spent a lot of time going over stuff that we already knew was pretty good, and found that you could just slot another 3-word sentence in and make something normal quite funny, and polishing it all up. And